Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pokemon Legends Arceus special that dropped recently, and I wanted to review all the episodes at once. I know a lot of people made videos for the first two part and then the next two part, but I wanted to see it all at once subtitled so I knew what I was talking about. So, here's my review of the Pokemon Legends Arceus special, also called Arceus, the one called a god. The first episode is really an introduction episode. Ash and Go are in Sinnoh to do research on the ancient past. They arrive in Canalave where they're hosting a festival to make the streets look like it did back in the days. There they meet Dawn as well as Cynthia and learn about the Hisui region. They see pictures of the Pokemon from back then, and they get to dress in the old-fashioned style as well, and get to try out the old Pokeball to capture the starters, as we know them, that were in Hisui. That's what the majority of the episode focuses on. However, in the background, there's some plotting going on. Saturn of Team Galactic is trying to catch Heatran. When he successfully does, he takes it back to their base where they've found a fire plate and they're trying to use the power of Heatran to open up a rift in time and space to meet with Cyrus. Again, it looks like they found success as their first experiment goes through and it causes ripples that only Pokemon can feel, and it wakes up Arceus, who sends out Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf to Earth. The episode ends with a lot of questions as to what Team Galactic is planning. But like I said, the bulk of the episode is focused on Hisui and its past. I actually really like the Hisui outfits. It's dope. Also, the Pokemon that puff up steam and catch Pokemon, that's just kind of awesome. Honestly, the modern Pokeballs feel so much more simplified than those. I kind of wish they would have said something like, oh, this Pokeball is way more heavy, so it's harder to throw, or it takes longer to catch or something, because then it would have felt like the technology had truly advanced in the Pokemon world. Instead, it just looks old, but worked just as well as the modern Pokeball, so it just feels like Pokeball technology hasn't really advanced. Silph Co just found a cheap and efficient way to make them. Other than that, I had no issues with this first episode because it leaves a lot of questions that'll be answered in the upcoming episodes. Episode 2, or Heatran's Explosive Advance, continues from the previous episode as our heroes arrive at Orberg Mine to try to figure out what's happening at Mount Coronet. There, they see a fight between Bronzong and a group of Chingling. Dawn calms both the Pokemon down with a whirlpool with Piplup. However, after the Pokemon calm down, the three lake spirits come over to them. They show our heroes Arceus before leaving. This baffles Go as he's never seen something like this, but Ash and Dawn explain that they've helped these Pokemon before and it looks like they're asking for help again. And on top of that, the fight earlier caused the Chingling to get hurt, so they have to take it to a Pokemon Center. There, they meet Brock, who's either a full doctor now or is still a doctor in training. The story doesn't make it too clear, although he has a card that he uses for house calls, so I'm assuming he's a full doctor now. Not sure. Either way, after Go introduces himself, our heroes let Brock know of the situation while they head to Mount Coronet. The reason that the Pokemon are fighting each other earlier is that the experiment done by Team Galactic was causing magnetic fields to go crazy. Speaking of, Team Galactic are getting closer to completing their goal of opening the space-time rift and bringing back Cyrus using Heatran's power. However, while trying to do that, they push it too far and it all goes wrong. Their machine malfunctions and it puts too much energy back into Heatran, causing it to go berserk. It then eats the fire plate that Team Galactic was trying to use to power their lasers before Flashfire turns it into this fire monster heading towards Mount Coronet. Team Galactic decide to follow it, and as our heroes are heading towards Mount Coronet, they also spot it. They get on top of a mountain range and are trying to decide how to stop it when Team Galactic interrupts. They're trying to see what it'll do and they want to prevent our heroes from stopping it. However, before a fight can go down, Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie reappear and surround Heatran. However, Heatran seems to power up even more due to the fire plate that's in it, and that's where we end the episode. This episode feels more like a setup for future episodes. We had the return of Brock, we had our heroes meet the Lake Trio, we had Heatran go crazy. Also, Brock talks about how the international police should have disbanded Team Galactic, and yeah, he's right. How did Team Galactic manage to run away and regroup quietly? You would think the police would be all over them. They're supposed to be the #1 criminal in Sinnoh. I don't know, they just kind of hand-wave it away, so I guess it's not supposed to matter, but it does bring up a lot of questions. Either way, the second episode is a setup, and it does a lot to prepare to set up for the final 2 episodes. Episode 3, or The Heated Battle of Mount Cornet, is a very battle-focused episode. The first half of the episode is continuing from the last episode, where Team Galactic is explaining to our heroes, and the audience in this case, what's happening to Heatran. Basically, the flame plate he ate in episode 1 is the reason Heatran's going crazy, because the plate is trying to return back to the heavens, aka Arceus. That also explains why it's going towards Mount Cornet. As we see from the visions from the lake spirits, while it looks like Heatran's going crazy, it's not actually Heatran. The real Heatran is stuck inside this massive bit of energy that's on fire and headed towards Cornet. Both the experiment from Team Galactic in episode 1 as well as Mount Cornet is giving it power to open up the space-time hole that Cyrus went to. Remember, Team Galactic's ultimate goal is to get Cyrus back. So our heroes need to stop them, so there's a bit of a small fight with Ash, Dawn, and Go before Brock tells them to go ahead and stop Heatran while he takes on Team Galactic by himself. His Steelix and Blissey are extremely strong as they're able to take on 3 Pokemon at once. Meanwhile, our heroes are using the Lake Spirits to try to help use water moves to cool down Heatran, but nothing happens. Instead, it seemingly makes it worse. Cynthia also appears here. She takes over the battle from Brock and asks him to try and cut the footing off Heatran so it can be stopped. However, even after our heroes try to stop it by killing its footing, the portal above Mount Cornet just gives it more power, and now it looks like nuclear radiation. It's a pretty dope look, and the episode ends with Arceus coming out of the space-time portal and using Judgment. While story-wise nothing crazy happens this episode besides Heatran getting closer to Mount Cornet and Arceus appearing, the series needed some good action and animation at this point. The first episode especially had some really janky looking animation. It was strange how poor it looked, especially for a special, so getting to see a whole bunch of greatly animated action was great. Brock comes off great here. He's a leader, especially now that he's a doctor. He obviously is the plot guy since he explains things to everyone, and now he's a top tier battler. The only thing that he did here that I found funny was just randomly taking his shirt off while trying to kill Heatran's footing. The last time we saw him throw a shirt like that was to Mega Evolve his Steelix, but that doesn't happen here at all, so it just looks a bit awkward. The Heatran design, the black one, like I said, looks amazing. It's covered in soot and what looks like molten lava while pulsating like a nuclear reactor. It just looks awesome, and when Brock explains this, it really gives a sense of danger because it feels like a cataclysmic event is going to happen if they don't stop it. Now, I don't know how to feel about that. On one hand, yes, it makes the special feel big. On the other hand, it raises questions that I talked about before about the international police, about how Team Galactic is going around doing this with no one finding out. And the story itself already feels so self-contained besides the 1 or 2 cutaways we get towards the Pokemon Center that it feels like it doesn't need to have that much stakes. Regardless of how you feel about it though, it leads to the final part of the special. The final part of the special is called A Wondrous Radiance, The Legend of Sinnoh. This is the most adventurous of the 4 episodes. While the last episode was focused on battle, this one is focused on rescue. The main theme of this episode is that Arceus can do anything. After Arceus uses Judgment, Team Galactic get hit and they have to bail, which allows Cynthia to capture them using Rhodes Ray's Power Whip. The time-space portal also closes. We then go to the main bit of the episode. Arceus comes down and our heroes tell Arceus that they want to save Heatran. After a bit of back and forth conversation on what to do and what not to do, Ash gets an idea. He's going to fight fire with fire. So with the help of the Lake Trio, the idea that Ash has is to surround the fire Heatran with water and electricity so there's 2 layers of protection, and in the barrier they went into, Arceus changed the physics so that the fire didn't explode with the water. After surrounding the fire Heatran with water and electricity, Go has to use Inteleon's Snipe Shot to open up the area where the real Heatran's trapped, and that's where they're going to rescue it. So our heroes do that. They go in and surrounding the Heatran with fire and electricity and then begin pulling it out of the water. The fire body even explodes as our heroes are pulling out Heatran, but since they're inside of the Arceus water, they don't get hurt. However, Heatran's fire does go out in the Arceus water, so our heroes have to push him manually, and in the end they're successful. Arceus also recovers the fire plate from the contained explosion. A lot of this sounds ridiculous, and to be fair it is. However, this isn't really about logic, it's more about emotion. We can see Ash has his hat backwards, we can see everyone doing their signature moves. It's just supposed to be an awesome moment. The episode ends with Heatran coming back and our heroes thanking Arceus. Cynthia talking about how Arceus is always watching and will provide people with hints when it arrives, but expects people in Pokemon to work together to figure out issues. We get Brock's thirsty tendency as well as high touch to end our hero's adventure before we see a glance of Sinnoh in the past. Finally, some actual Legends Arceus stuff. Overall, this was a strange yet fascinating episode. Our heroes just kind of come up with the ideas and the rules make no real sense, but Arceus is a god and gods can do anything. I don't really have a problem with that, I just thought it was worth mentioning. What I will say though is that in retrospect, Brock or either Cynthia just kind of felt superfluous. He's there to provide the plot points to our heroes, which is fine I guess, but Cynthia could have been that person. And vice versa, Brock could have done everything that Cynthia did. Not that I'm complaining or anything, it provides some throwback as well as someone Ash and Dawn can go back and forth with without feeling too much like they're superior, which I guess was the reason why they picked Brock over Cynthia, but it's just something I noticed. Arceus also comes off really intimidating here. It really can do anything since it's a god and it has the power to shape physics, that's crazy. It was strange that it was listening to kids though, and it's Ash who makes the plans instead of God itself, but like Cynthia says, in the end, that's just how God rolls in this series. Overall, this was a pretty fun series. The biggest question is, how is this supposed to be promotion for Legends Arceus? But I guess in the 4th episode, we did see a little bit of Legends Arceus style animation, so I guess that's still pretty cool. And unlike a lot of other specials, it actually shows Sinnoh's past and talks about Sinnoh. But I feel like this could have just been part of the episodes of the anime. I know why it wasn't. Most of these episodes are like 16 to 18 minutes. So not a full episode, but still, add a bit of padding and you have 4 episodes. But then again, it doesn't bother me since this one actually had a little bit to do with Legends Arceus, I don't know. Also, with Brock being there, I'm assuming that we'll also get Misty in the future? We've had a few different companions make their return, in this case, Dawn and Brock. So I'm assuming that we'll get Misty, right? Especially if the rumored Legends Arceus DLC is true. I would be interested to see if they continue the story or if any developments happen, or she just appears in a completely separate part of the anime. Regardless, this was a fine special. I don't know if they're planning to dub this. You honestly wouldn't miss out on anything in the Journey story if they didn't, but I think it would show us how much of a priority this is for the Pokemon Company, because if they really did care about it, they would definitely dub it. We'll just have to wait and see. If you haven't checked this out already, go ahead and do so. It's not as long as the anime episodes, so you can watch all 4 episodes within the span of an hour and you'll see the entire story from start to finish. Check it out. But anyways, that is it for a review of the Legends Arceus special, Arceus, the one called a god. What did you think of the special? Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a like and follow me on Twitter at PdGaming, and that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.